Any feedback on my singing last week of Jerry Marsden during the Pacemakers Never Walk Alone? Good feedback? Solid feedback?
I don't think there was any feedback.
Right. Okay. No feedback's good feedback.
One person said he was so impressed that you were able to learn how to sing out of your ass.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know who that person is, but in your face, brah, because...
Dale Braithwaite.
And the sweet silver song of the lark.
I will. I'm trying to learn Piano Man.
Piano Man.
Yeah. You heard of it?
Oh, is that Elton John? Do you know what?
That's Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Very close. Not physically.
Welcome, everybody. We're about to review the weekend's game, extraordinary games, particularly the Sunday game, which we've just witnessed. Extraordinary. Cooper, we are primarily lovers of the game, our family, first and foremost.
We love the game.
We love the game, and the game has never, ever been in a better spot. The game has never been better. This final series has been extraordinary.
I agree. I think the games have just been phenomenal. And I was saying this because I was down in Melbourne last week watching the game we're going to talk about, but also watching a bit of AFL. And the AFL, the AFL's in a good spot with what they've done, entertainment, Snoop Dogg, things like that. But I've watched all the AFL finals games this year. The drama that we've had in the NRL, every game, well, most games, but particularly that Broncos Raiders and then tonight, that Broncos Penrith game, the games are just pure entertainment. Yep. There is everything. It's like it's written on a script. It's that good.
Say it again.
It's like it's written on a script. It's that good.
Thinking of a master plan. That's what I did there, a bit of Snoop.
Yeah.
Put a bit of Snoop in there.
Is that what I don't think that's a Snoop Dogg song.
Now, do you know in the movie, in Old School, he's up there and he's got...
Will Ferrell.
And he goes, thinking of a master plan. And that's from the song. But I actually thought he was really good at the AFL Grand Final. And let's start with... We'll start it with Friday. The temptation is to start it with the game we've just seen.
Now stay disciplined.
But let's stay disciplined. Cool. So you went down...
I went... Yeah, down last week.
Yeah. What day did you head down?
Wednesday. Wednesday I went down there just to spend... I'll tell you right now. Now, there's a thing at Melbourne that Marky Brentnell started calling me the Rabbit's Foot, who's Marky Brentnell's the assistant coach of Melbourne.
Yep.
For those that don't know. Because every time I go down, and the last couple of years I've been down a bit because just for go watch the boys play, get behind the lads. Obviously, I'm an old boy, but I've got a lot of my old teammates are still playing in that team. And I've never been down and they've lost. Never. Not one. So call it a four-leaf clover, call it a rabbit's foot, call it whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
But they are under no illusion down there that I am the good luck charm.
You're great. Your influence is still felt in that club.
And I said this to someone down there actually at the game.
Who was it? Was it Craig? And you said, you listen to me, Craig.
It was someone in the Fiji Airways lounge that was there. They asked, first of all, did you used to play? What are you doing in here? And then followed by, did you used to play at this club? Which I said, yes. They said, how many games did you play? I said, about 19. But the legacy that I've left, they're starting to see the success of that now. Yep. The pillars that I left at that club, both on and off the field, the well that I dug, those players are starting to drink from that well.
Yeah, and drink, they are, absolutely. The things that you put in place, your frustrations, whether you were years ahead of them as far as development, tactical sense, preparation, all of those things, but now they're starting to understand.
I finally understand what it must be like for someone like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Right. When you are so far ahead generationally than everyone else in your environment, they just can't understand what you're talking about. It's like in Back to the Future. He went back and, starts talking about things like the mobile phone, the car, and they're like, what? Yeah. Back in my day when I was there, and I know it's only 3 or 4 years ago, but it's still a long time in the context of the...
When I was listening to a Fats Domino song today, Blueberry Hill, and he was a man who was a decade ahead of music at the time. And when he brought out songs like Blueberry Hill, people said, what is this? What? And then it's later recorded as his influence over modern music. And I think exactly the same as you were the Melbourne Storm. You are the Fats
Hey,
Domino.
your mic just cut out for a sec. It's all right. You want to give it a big push in there? So, do you want to finish that turd of a thought that you had?
Are we okay now?
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that, Fats Domino brought out Blueberry Hill, and people at the time went, what is this? But it turns out that he was at least a decade ahead of the music scene in America in the 50s and the 60s. And as I was listening to that song the other day, that wonderful song, Blueberry Hill, Fats Domino, I couldn't help but think that you are the Fats Domino of Melbourne Storm Rugby League. The things that you put in place there that those poor players at the time weren't ready for, but now are able to absorb.
I'm now very disappointed I even told you your mic cut out in the first place. Maybe that was God sending a symbol down. It was supposed to be
But
cut
you are
out.
the rabbit's foot. So you go, you actually, I had fears. When you tell me that you stay at Harry Grant's place at the time, oftentimes I think, I don't know if that's a good idea, because it's fair to say that your lifestyles are probably
different these days.
Probably complete polar opposites.
No, not as opposite as you think. See, the first time that we sort of did that, a couple years when I'd stopped playing, and I was like, "Oh, I'll come down." He was like, "Come down, stay here," and I was like, "Are you sure?" I was always tiptoeing around, like on game day and that. This time, no, I was just a slob. I followed Harry's exact game day routine. We got a coffee. We went into the club. He did a little bit of sort of prehab on any niggles that he needed to sort of fire up for the day, and he did a bit of an ice bath and a spa. I followed the exact same thing, even though I wasn't even about to go and play a game. I was about to go and sink a carton of piss.
He was preparing himself. You were getting over a hangover.
No, I was about to prepare myself to go on the beers. So technically, it was both of our game days.
Yeah, good.
And then we both went for a nap about 1:30. And then we both woke up about 4 o'clock. And he was like, "Have you just followed my routine here today?" And I said, "Yes, I have." But you know what? It is very, very nice. And Dad and Jack, you guys won't understand this, but to be an old boy of a club who has so much success, because my opinion is neutral when it comes to who I think is going to win the game. But when you're an old boy of the club and you know that your club's either going to be in a prelim or a grand final every single year, it is a nice feeling. Okay?
Yeah. When I go to the Knights Old Boys, I look at the modern players and go, oh, God, I wish that you guys could have the same success that I had. But anyway.
Yeah, I kind of digressed there with you, Cobber. Hey, while we're on the topic of singers, Cobber, can we actually talk about, I noticed Cooper was out, so you can explain this to him, what happened on your show. We're filming it tonight, but last night on your show with Brian Fletcher, you spoke about that young singer at the Dolphins home ground at the Queensland Cup Grand Final.
The Queensland Cup Grand Final was Burleigh Bears up against the North Devils. Anyway, pre-game, they got this young fella out, had this darling ice blue double-breasted suit, had the haircut, it really looked a class act. Handkerchief and top pocket, etc. Anyway, he's doing the national anthem and he's singing his guts out. But unfortunately, his microphone just kept cutting out. None of them, all the players were laughing, but he was just... Anyway, the wind was just blowing into his hair. Anyway, I said, that poor bugger, I said, he looks like a class act. I said, let's get him on the show this Thursday, our final show, and he can, basically do the national anthem to see out our season. And Fletcher goes, that'd be great. And he said, to replicate the wind, I'll blow in his face.
Swear to God, on air.
And then I had to go, then Hammy was on, and my next comment was, okay, Hammy, now grand final head to head. So it was we just sort of fumbled along there for a second, but nonetheless, wonderful viewing.
Wow.
And for the viewers, you're welcome.
Yeah. And can you tell us the yarn that you were saying about Snoop Dogg the other day? Remember, because I saw Snoop when I was down there. Well, I thought it was Snoop. They were doing a PR stunt where they had a Snoop Dogg impersonator going around Swan Street in Richmond, which is just around the corner from where I was staying. And I was having a coffee and I saw him pull up in his low riding, one of those high suspension cars that they ride around in California in.
Yeah.
And he got out, looked exactly like him. It was a fake Snoop Dogg. Everyone was running around. He walked into a liquor land.
Yep.
And everybody was running in there to get pictures. They had to break it to him later on the news because people were posting it on their Instagrams and that, met Snoop Dogg, and people going, this is crazy. It wasn't him. Looked just like him.
God, it looked like him. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So the story was on Friday, there's a guy that myself, Fletcher, and Hindy deal with a bit. Richie, he owns a number of pubs in and around Western Sydney, and we'll sort of get there because it's grand final week, coming up soon, grand final week. He was like, "Oh, boys, would you come out just do us a favour, a bit of a talk to some of the locals?" And so yeah. So we got out there. There was about 500 people. They were having a bit of a lunch, and we got up there and did a bit of a routine, a bit of fun. Anyway, it was like, "Oh yeah, Rich, what's happening?" And he mate, well, he looked very excited. We said, "What's going on?" And he goes, "Oh, mate, I just threw a bit of bait out there." And he said, he took the bait. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I've booked Snoop tomorrow night after the AFL Grand Final." I went, "What?" And he goes, "Yep, when he does the Grand Final appearance, he said he's going to jump on a plane, him and his whole crew. We're flying him here, and he's going to play at the Bella Vista Hotel. The Bella Vista pub."
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yeah, I've seen – I saw some – after you told me that, I saw some videos, and, yeah, he private jetted up or something.
So I said, "Richie, what time is he going to start?" He said, "It starts at midnight." But anyway, I said to Richie, "How'd it go?" He said it was unbelievable, but he didn't get there till 2. He didn't start his gig till 2 a.m.
They must kill it. They must when a big act like that comes out, they must really just cash in.
Those big Western Sydney pubs, man, they are just they are gold mines.
Behemoths. We should invest in a pub.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
We'll speak to Richie.
Yeah,
see what he can do.
This is more of a,
see if he throws a bone.
Yeah, it's more of an off-air chat, but let's just make sure that we flag this. Friday night, let's get into the bit of the footy. Storm played the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
You, Matthew, were very bullish on the Sharks. You thought the Sharks were going to get up by 2.
Yeah.
I
did, yep.
Which they fought amicably, I thought. I thought a lot of people are getting into them, saying that they crumble under pressure. But I think they've had pressure on them the last 2 weeks before. They did a good job with it then. They just come up against a better side, I think more experienced in finals.
Finals football, it's about one of the primary cornerstones is discipline.
Yeah.
And Melbourne Storm, that's why they've made so many grand finals. They're in really big games. They are very, very disciplined. They don't beat themselves. Sharks, the other night, too many self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah.
And it was unforced errors, like drop balls with no pressure on them. But the big one, Coop, was just giving away offside penalties.
Yeah.
They gave so many offside penalties away. And I think the one that probably the best example, which is symbolic of the whole performance, was very early in the game, about 3 or 4 minutes in. Mate, they start really well, the Sharks, and they put the ball right in the corner pocket, and they got the Melbourne Storm trapped there, and they give away an offside penalty. Get behind the referee. And we spoke about when you are an underdog going into these really big games, if you're going to beat a favourite, if you're going to cause an upset, you got to get off to a really good start, and you got to do a lot of things really, really good.
Yeah,
they got off to a good start. They got him trapped in the corner, and they gave away a simple offside penalty. One step ahead of the referee. Get behind him. So what happens there? Melbourne Storm, that next set, they work their way down the field, get a repeat set. The next set, they score.
Yeah, that was the set. Munster went down the short side on 5th or 4th tackle, found Xavier Coates, and then they grubbed it in, and then Will Warbrick scores on the right-hand corner.
In the right hand.
Yeah, there was so many penalties in that game, and I know a lot of people have had a lot to say about the penalty count, which warranted, because I was at that game, and geez, it was slow. It was a shit game. I said to everyone, this is a boring game to watch. The atmosphere was great at the stadium, but that first half, in a 40-minute half of footy, there was 22 minutes of ball in play time. Which is hard. And then you look at that Broncos Penrith game on the other hand. Yeah, that was so much ball in play time.
Cooper, and I'm telling you, man, we'll touch more on this in the preview midweek.
Yeah,
but I'm telling you, this is a huge factor going into the grand final. In the fact that look at the speed and the intensity of the day game, Penrith against Brisbane, compared to the speed and intensity of the Sharks versus Storm. And on top of that, they got 2 days extra rest.
Agreed.
It's incredible advantage.
We're not going to go too in deep here, but there is 2 schools of thought in a sense where Broncos are probably more battle-hardened to a tough game than Melbourne are at the moment. Mm-hmm. Melbourne have had kind of stop-starty games with that Storm Bulldogs and then Storm Sharks game where it hasn't been a high-quality match like the Broncos have been exposed to, but you saw that how much fatigue was out in the field in Broncos Penrith. They were both out on their feet.
And a hot afternoon too.
Correct.
It's just, there's so many factors there. But yeah, Coop, Cronulla, they were just, and this final series more than any other I've seen, 7 tackle sets and errors are being punished more than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Every 7 tackle set just about, becomes a try down the other end of the field. And in this game, every offside penalty that Cronulla gave away, Melbourne capitalised on and they score. If they go into this game, Cronulla, and they just change that aspect of their game, they are more disciplined as far as giving away penalties and just, and unforced errors, then in my opinion, they probably win.
Yeah.
But the problem is, but the thing about it is, Melbourne will not beat themselves.
No,
they will not beat themselves.
And we did speak last week about the inconsistency of their spine this year and how the team sort of played that Melbourne side. But I thought Munster, Hughes, Harry, and Pappenhausen, Hughesy and Paps coming back into that side after having a few weeks out, they were unbelievable. But Munster, I thought that's as good a game Munster's had since his Origin performance.
Well, let's talk about some of the individual performances there. Because we sort of spoke about the tail of the tape, and there were certain things in the game, and we'll talk about more in the preview, but there's certain aspects of Melbourne's defence they've got to work on. Their left side defence is a little bit shaky, but we'll do that in the preview. But individual performances, firstly, Munster. Munster, for me, is still number one when it comes to big game performers. If you look, like Nathan is incredible, but if you look at Munster at every level, Origin, and finals and grand finals, when he's in them, his impact is always huge. And the thing about it is, we spoke about this in the preview, Melbourne have been playing too narrow shapes for him, they've been working sort of near post or midfield shapes. It hasn't really been giving him space to move. They've been getting pressuring from the inside and the outside. In this game, they played more width. They moved the ball past the far post and opened up the field, and you could see they couldn't. Like the Sharks, given the nature of how they got in the ball, they had to just be passive on him, which allowed for Munster. That's all he needs.
Yeah,
just a little bit of time and goes there, and away he went. And he was phenomenal. If he wasn't setting them up directly, and what I mean by that is like the little chip over the top for Paps to score, he was setting them up indirectly, which is drive through the line, get half through, play the ball quick, and Harry scoops and goes.
I want to talk. Actually, let's talk about that try you just brought up there with the little kick over for Paps, because that was such a beautifully executed try. Harry gets out, takes the marker out. Toby Rudolph was the marker, takes him out. But what I love about that, and they've got a call. The best part of that, those three together, Munster, Pappenhausen, Harry, particularly Paps. Paps is very vocal with what he sees. So Paps was the one that he called. He told Munster, Kennedy's in the line. They've got a call for when the fullback comes into the line. So he was screaming that call. So Munster instantly knows when the fullback or whoever, if somebody calls that, they know instantly that the kick's on because the fullback's in the line. And it was such a on the fly late in the game when it was going to be it ended up sort of being the deal breaker for him, that sort of try. But to execute that under pressure off a quick play, the ball was beautiful.
And you watch him, Coop. He's so good at what I would describe as just finding a way. Now, what I mean by that is oftentimes you get a person who say, okay, did a little chip over the top. Now, what you do is you take the ball and you keep your head down. Munster got the ball. He knew it was on. He just found a way to kick it and get it to the right spot.
It was ugly technique.
It's an ugly technique. It was a half shank, hooked it. But that's the thing about Munster. His very nature, the nature of his game is he is unorthodox. He just gets it done. Just on that, I cannot believe that teams will push their fullback into the defensive line around halfway and expect not to be punished for it.
Yeah,
it blows me away.
Well, you're kind of told in defensive systems these days that if a marker or you're in trouble, that fullback is told to kind of plug on that short side.
Yeah,
and it solves a hell of a lot of problems in defense. And there needs to be a healthy balance of you can't not do it because teams will punish you with the ball with it, but you have to have an ability to stop that kick if you're going to be in the line.
I just can't, particularly around halfway, I can't fathom.
That was about the 30-metre line.
About 30, 40 metres out. I can't fathom why you would do it because, Coop, I understand all those things of matching numbers. I think that is the greater evil. Like, if you're a playmaker out there and you are 30, 40 metres out and you are seeing that the fullback is in the line and there's no one out the back and you don't kick it, shame on you. Like that's an opportunity you cannot miss.
Yeah.
It's just so blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, but
I think the bad teams probably don't punish the good the teams who do it enough, so they kind of get lulled into a false sense of security that
right.
The fullbacks can plug too many times in the line, and then when they come up against a good spine who identify it, they get punished for it. Can we quickly talk about Jerome Hughes as well for a sec?
About to, yes.
Hughesy comes back 2 weeks off the back of a broken forearm, gets surgery, and then any questions that you had in that first 20 minutes that he may have been carrying it, hiding himself, whatever, were immediately just proven wrong. As soon as Stefano gets that offload out to him, he steps, I think it was Teague Wilton, and then fends that young lock that they've got, Jesse someone.
Yeah,
Calhoun.
Yeah.
He's a good player too.
Very, very good player.
But fends him with that broken
that
forearm.
Mechanical arm, yes.
Oh, yeah, RoboCop.
RoboCop
Terminator.
arm.
But Hughesy, I thought Hughesy was unbelievable. And a lot of pressure, like, and he's one of Dally M. He's one of the best halfbacks in the comp, but I have no doubt a little bit of pressure on his shoulders, not just with that injury, but with the form of Jonah Pezzett the week before as well. Like, and Hughes is a big game player, but to have that pressure from a player underneath you in that squad, there was a little bit coming into this game where Hughes a little bit underdone with an injury. He had to have a big game because they had a player there, Jonah Pezzett, who could have started in that side as well.
Coops, and you are exactly right. And people will listen to that and go, "Oh, Coop, that's absurd." You go, no, it is true. Never underestimate people's insecurities. And I'm not saying straight insecurity with Jerome, but it is true. Champions always hear the footsteps behind them. They hear it coming. And I use the example all the time with Munster in State of Origin. When they lost game 1 this year, and I heard an interview with him on the radio, and they asked him, how did you find out that you were going to be given the captaincy by Billy Slater when DCE was dropped? And he said, Billy called me and said, can you come to my room and have a yarn about something? And he said, I thought that I was about to be dropped.
Yeah.
Now, that you're spot on about like the Jerome thing. He's looking going, hey, the young guys come in and suddenly he's playing really good football. And some people can't help themselves too, Coop. Like Jerome would have been places where people are going to go, oh, hey, well, the new bloke, Jonah, he's going all right. Looks like they don't really need you. He'd be copping that. And so I just think, Coop, he hasn't given, like people have really gone, mate, applauded for his performance and what he, under adversity, but not nearly enough.
No.
I mean, Shane Webke played in the grand final in 2000 with a broken arm, but he broke it 5 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
Right. He played Jerome's 22 days earlier. He broke his arm and he's out there fending blokes off and scoring tries from 45, 50 metres out.
Yeah.
So fantastic performance. Blake, you mentioned before, mate. The two big boys, Tui Kamikamica and Stefano, were fantastic.
Yeah.
Firstly, Stefano, man. My God. In this sort of the back end quarter of this season, he has been sensational.
Well, I'm gonna get to our back fence player right now for me because a lot of big game players in that Storm side. I had Stefano, and I watched it live, but I didn't realise the impact he had in that first 25 minutes. His first 25-minute stint was as good as any front rower has had this year. It may be not on the stat sheet like him, but some of his quick play the balls that he generated for that side. Oh. And we went back after the game. Harry Wishy and I, we went back to theirs and re-watched it after the game. The boys like to re-watch the game because you can't sleep afterwards. And that first stint he had was unbelievable.
Powerhouse.
He got Billy Burns with a bump at one stage to get this quick play the ball, and even blokes like Fanua Blake were really struggling to handle him early.
I know.
The boys say he's got a bump. And when I say a bump, let's use the example of like when Tino Fa'asuamaleaui runs at you, he really winds up a bump. Like you can see him winding up 5 meters out and he gets his big bumpers up and it's your job to kind of avoid his bumpers or prepare for him. The boys say Stefano, you can't prepare for him because he's so powerful, his bump, and he gets it up so late off the back of footwork that like he's very unassumingly strong.
Yeah.
Harry said in Origin, like he flew out of the line at one stage to try to get Stefano, who's playing for New South Wales. And it even surprised him. He's like, mate, he hit me with this bum and it literally went straight through me and I couldn't prepare for it. I thought he was unbelievable. I think the last about 7 weeks, he's been great. Close to the best front row in the comp.
Well, the Hughes' try we're just talking about, you watch that, mate, he's run there. He bumps off about 4 blokes. Just goes bump, bump, bump. And he goes halfway through the line, throws that back. Hughes, he's been a revelation in your old roommate, mate. Tui Kamikamitha, it was his best... one of his best performances as a Storm player. Off the bench, he just gave an enormous lift to me.
They need that. They've lacked that real impact off the bench when they haven't had, like, you know, ever since they lost, like, Brandon Smith, obviously no Nelson this year, that real punch off the bench where you have someone that comes on and brings leg speed and a lot of ruck speed for you. Tui was unbelievable on the weekend with that.
The other bloke I want to give a big rap to, I thought it was his best game as an NRL player, was Will Warbrick. I thought Will was the week before he had a mixed game. The week before had some difficult periods, but all's well that ended well. He finished the game well, but right from the start of this game, he was superb. He scored the first try, but everything he did was high quality.
Yeah, and Trindle peppered him. They'd obviously had a game plan to bomb that side with Mulatalo coming through as an attacking threat, and he put a lot of floaters up, a lot of torpedoes. Brick didn't drop one, I think.
Oh, man.
What did you make of that Sharks performance? Because, like, we just give a lot of raps to Storm them, but I like what the Sharks clearly had a game plan to get at Melbourne's left edge, Munster, Jack Howarth, and Xavier Coates. And I thought the 2 tries that they scored in that first half, once they went down there, Nico found it out the back to Kennedy, who they jammed, and he beat him with some good footwork and found Katoa in the right corner. Yeah. And then the next try, he puts Billy Burns through a hole in between Munster and Jack Howarth.
Yeah.
And then Katoa scores again. Looking at Melbourne's edge defence, it is probably the side where they're going to get targeted a lot in this grand final coming up.
Yep.
That space between Munster and Jackie Howarth. And I thought Sharks actually did a really good job at exploiting it.
Yeah, it's funny, Coop. That left-hand side, it was problematic for Melbourne in your spot on. They're going to go continually. And it's funny because both tries you were talking about were bad decision-making, but for totally different reasons. The first one... It was. They all went outside in uniformly. Boom. It was a bad decision collectively. Just rushed in past the ball and he shot it through and little tunnel ball for Katoa to score. The second one where Billy Burns went through and then off to Katoa to score his second try was the fact that there was obviously a lack of communication on Munster's inside. And you see Munster sort of backing off a little bit trying to buy time, and that's where they hit the short ball. So I don't know. I don't know where the problem is coming from, but Munster is the linchpin in the middle, and he's either not getting communication from the inside or the outside. But they've got a lot to work on there because that is Reece Walsh. That's his favourite side, looping around on that side. He's very, very good,
especially with Adam Reynolds over on that attacking edge as well.
Well, but
who was did you have a backfence player?
I went Tui.
You went Tui?
Look, I just thought I like Tui as a player, and he's had a little bit of an up and down season, Tui, but I thought off the bench he gave a lot of punch. Every time he got the ball, mate, he was mighty.
Yeah, well, we'll get Stefano and Tui. We'll get you those your gifts out.
Your gold-plated cufflinks come to you.
All right, let's get to this second game, Sunday afternoon, and those Sunday afternoon games. Let me tell you something. Those day Sunday games. It is putting a lot of thought into the NRL's head to go to a day Sunday grand final because I saw during the week that Volandis was saying the TV ratings for those afternoon games, it's always been a TV thing, do it late at night, but the Arvo games have been breaking some records. So,
and I think, Coop, soon the broadcaster will be on they'll be on site. It would not surprise me even next year that if Volandis lent on Channel 9, they'd relent and say, yep, no problem. They can sell that to the advertisers that even if the ratings are slightly down, you got to understand there's so many people sitting at barbecues. There's more eyeballs on the game.
Yeah.
It's just that people are watching collectively, right? And the advertisers be aware of that. So the very fact they're saying this year, this final series, the ratings are up 34%. 34%, right? And that the real big ones are the day games. Now, people are watching it collectively at pubs and that. Like, so you go, my God, how many people are watching the game?
Yeah.
So if it's, in that situation, the ratings are at 34%, and it's in day games, and people will be watching at venues. Mate, the ratings could be up like 60% probably.
Yeah.
But it's the standard of the football. We had Hudson Young on tonight's show, the Sunday night show, and I was sitting and watching the game with him, and we're having a talk about the game. And I said to Hudson, I'm telling you, mine is a life that has been wasted in rugby league. My life, I said, but I'm telling you right now, the game in my whole time in this sport, the game has never been better. The players have never been better. Every aspect of the game is flying. It's just incredible, and it just makes you, as a rugby league person, and I think a lot of listeners will back this up with me, it makes you really proud to be a rugby league person when you watch a game, some of the games that have been played in this final series, and the game we just saw just then. I just thought both sides were incredible. The storylines going in, and the expectation of what the game could be, it lived up to the billing and a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. And we're going to talk about some of the players' performances and some of the big moments from the game, but looking at the build-up into this game, we spoke about it. The X factor of the Broncos up against the discipline and the absolute clinical nature of Penrith Panthers. It was always going to be a big clash, and I always had the theory that finals is luck and timing and everything of who you get on the draw.
Sure,
but the only team I thought that could beat Penrith were the Broncos. I thought if Storm came up against Penrith were going to beat them because they play a similar style. But the Broncos' X factor, and their physicality with boys like Payne Haas and Xavier Willison, their big, strong pack, I thought really fatigued Penrith. Because by the end of the game, and Penrith should have had them on the ropes. Like, with how much footy they sort of started getting down their end, how many chances Broncos gave them. The Broncos, defense on their line, they were so resilient, held them out a lot of the time. But usually Penrith would put teams to the sword with their attack, but they were really disrupted. I haven't seen Penrith look that tired in the last 5 years. Like, they fatigued very quickly, and not quickly, but it was a testament to how physical and quick the game was. But there was a point there where Liam Martin and Mitch Kenny both went off. And in a very key part of the thing, and I thought it must be so much fatigue out there because you don't see those blokes come off in this moment.
Extraordinary, Coop. There was a time Liam Martin stood up once and wobbled, and I was with Hudson, and I said, "Did he get a headshot?" And he goes, "No, he's just fucked. He's gone." And mate, he was wobbling. And I'm going, "Oh my God!" Like, Coop, if the first game we spoke about, Melbourne Storm Sharks, was defined by Melbourne's greater discipline, then this game was defined by Brisbane's desperation in their online defence.
Yeah.
That's what won them the game. Because, Coop, at foot, like, Penrith in the first half destroyed the Broncos with their yardage game, as they destroy most teams with that yardage, and just dismantled them. And I must say, going in at 14-0 down, I actually thought the scoreline,
it was
in
flattering.
some ways, flattered Brisbane.
Yeah.
They were so under the pump. And we were sitting again with Hudson, and you just, talking, and I said to him, if Penrith come out and score in the first 5-10 minutes, I said, the floodgates going to open. It's going to be a big score. He goes, yeah, definitely. Anyway, bugger me, they had so many opportunities to do that, Penrith, and they just kept going and going and going, and they just found a way to stay in the contest, or to defend their line. It was an extraordinary defensive effort, Coop. And you said Xavier Willison before.
Yeah.
Xavier Willison, we talk about Liam Martin being gone. Xavier Willison, who has played very little football of late, he hit the wall completely right.
Yeah.
And I said to the boys, have a look at Xavier here. And he played the ball, and he put his head in his hands, and he actually turned and looked towards the coach's box.
Yeah, want to get off.
And just to say, fucking Madge, you've got to take me off, I'm gone. And then about 5 minutes later, scores the try. Scores the vital try.
His first stint, he was very gassed. Penrith did a good job of actually identifying. There was a couple of times there where you could see Nathan and Mitch Kenny in particular. Mitch Kenny's got a good knack on the field of he screams and he'll point at players and say, get at him.
Yep.
And he was pointing at Xavier Willison a lot, tipping his forwards into making him make tackles because he become really ineffective at points, jumping off tackles and just not really. You're getting a lot of quick play the balls through him.
Yeah.
But his second stint with the footy was
Incredible.
mate. He was a big game breaker for him because he got him a lot of quick play the balls. Obviously sealed the brought him back into that game with that good try. But some of his ball stuff was good.
Can you put our man up, Jack, for a second? Because I want to ask him about his great mate Adam Reynolds, because Jack played with Renault and they remain good friends. Hey, Jack, that must have been like, for a lot of pressure on Renault, Jack, going into this game, given the fact that they played so good without him being in the side, and so you could see him finding his way, and you can see that the hamstring is still not 100%. But to nail that kick, man, that's just one of those moments that can define your time at a club.
Well, Renault's had thousands of kicks, and a lot of them have been high pressure kicks, and especially early in his career there at South with Madge, he done some crazy kicks. But it's a crazy moment to think too. Like, don't forget the fact that the Penrith's first win in their dynasty was against South Sydney, Renault's last game for South, and he missed that goal to level it that game. And then to finish this 4-game run to try and make 5. And he kicks the goal to pretty much send him away in the last 3 minutes. It's a huge moment for Renault. And I don't know, I'm not sure if it would have weighed on him too much, that kick back in the day, but I reckon it would have, regardless if they win the grand final, I reckon it's probably relieved a bit of pressure in his mind.
Oh, definitely. And,
Jack, spot on.
Yeah, and going what you just said before, Matthew, on pressure on Renault, you could see, and I said it to Jack during the game, particularly the first sort of 3 quarters of the game, their attack was really clunky. Their attack was really clunky between the communication between him and Ben Hunt in particular. But it was like they'd gone away what had been working for them probably the last 5 weeks because they had Adam Reynolds come back, and they all looked to Renault for, you get us around the park. And Renault probably was, it actually slowed their attack right up because he was always setting up for a play for himself, when the last sort of 4 weeks when they've been going well, they've just been playing footy, and then when Reece Walsh or Ben Hunt or Billy Walters saw something, then they'd call the ball and Reece Walsh, you could see him, he was hugging that right side a lot, just hanging around Renault, because obviously he looks up to Renault and he's just following Renault's lead, and it actually hindered a lot of his attacking performance because he wasn't floating like he usually does.
It's spot on, Coop, because when they lost Renault, Madge went, okay, what are we going to do here, right? So they had to fall back into a more reactionary style of football, watch and react. And let's not forget the fact they lost Billy Walters, right? Billy has been one of their very best players this year, as far as impact, but even when he went to 6, was outstanding. So to lose a player like that, lose a big hole. But then Renault comes back in, who is such an influential player. He's naturally going to have his... Even if he wants to take a back seat, not overplay his hands, his footprint will be on how you want to play. And you could see it took a long while for him to really start to work it out a little bit. Yeah. But, oh, man, it was a great game of football. And, I tell you what, I got so much respect for Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh, he's a pretty boy. I all get that, all that sort of stuff. Mate, he is fucking tough, mate. Yeah. You look at in that first 20 minutes when the heater's on, and mate, he's taken 2 in a set of 6. He's getting jammed. He can't be discouraged.
I've said it before, he's just how strong he is. People don't realise, because sometimes on kick returns and stuff, he can get manhandled by some of the bigger boys. But you saw in that first 10 minutes, none of the attack was out on the edges. He was just getting it one off the ruck and just using his speed and acceleration to get straight in between 2 defenders and getting on quick play the balls. It was a big reason, him doing that, it not only causes quick play the balls, but it also, like you saw with Scott Sorensen, caused a head clash, and he goes off category 1. He can't even play. Yes. He couldn't play the grand final if they made it next week. That stuff is actually really instrumental and end up winning the game.
It's funny, Coop, and to let people know that's a big thing. Is that when a player gets a ball who has got express speed, right? And what they do is they run straight between 2 defenders. Now, that is, it's testing the mettle of the defenders, but also yourself. Now, what I mean by that is you are running in between 2 defenders, right? Now, running between, in copying 2 sets of shoulders on you, you can actually get emptied out. Big time, really, knocked around. For 6, they hit you sweet. But I tell you what, it's testing the mental toughness and the physical toughness of the defenders. Because when you run between a defender if they just get it slightly wrong, there's a fair chance they're going to clash heads.
Yeah.
Right. And it's laying the cards on the table and saying, righto, this is what I'm going to do. Let's fucking see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And he did that. And that's when Scotty Sorensen got knocked out. That is, for Reece, that's him. That's his toughness and going, right, I'm going to do that, testing out the defence. And he did that all afternoon. He was brilliant. Payne Haas is just, I guess, to the point, mate. With Payne Haas, if you just turned up and you never heard of this bloke Payne Haas and you sit and watch the game, we'd talk about him for about 30 minutes now.
Yeah.
Just go, mate, what about that? But you expect it from him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he did it without Pat Carrigan being there. He did it solo. It was magnificent.
I'll tell you what, the intensity of that game, particularly that first 10 minutes, it was State of Origin-esque, particularly a lot of the kick chases. I think the first kick chase, they went down, Renault put up a bomb, Brendan Piakura come from the left side, and you see those kind of kick chases in either big grand finals or State of Origin. He went through and just leveled Dylan Edwards out.
Yep.
And those real big hits off the +1, +2 when the back three, the wingers and the fullback are coming out of their own end. It was physical. And I tip my hat to Penrith because they absorbed a lot of pressure early, a lot of physical pressure. Sorensen went off, and they were actually in a bit of 6s and 7s for that first 10 minutes. I was thinking that Broncos are going to score here. They ended up holding them out, got a good stop on the right edge, and then as soon as Penrith went down to that end, they just went to work. It's a testament to that club and that culture because they absorbed so much pressure, and then Nathan and Isaiah went down that end, they went right, and they were all by the book. They picked them apart, and they set up that really nice try for Paul Alamotti in the right side.
If you're going to knock out a champion, if you're a heavyweight boxer and you're going to knock out the champion, and you've got to beat the champion, take the belt off him, you got to do something special.
Yeah.
That's it, and they did that. Tonight, mate, the Broncos beat Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Well, Penrith's attack was, I would say it was a lot better than Broncos' attack, but Broncos they were just resilient. They hung in there. A lot of their tries didn't come from a lot of classy stuff. Their first try, they were very lucky to get that first try in the second half because they'd had a really clunky set. Ben Hunt goes out the wrong way, finds it to Adam Reynolds, and it was Katoni Staggs who just said, there's nothing on here. I'm just going to give Renault an option. And he pointed for the kick and a real good chase, and he ends up scoring the try. But their actual attacking shape was very clunky, wasn't actually that great.
It's funny you say that, Coop. That is so true because you look at the two sides, right? Penrith are just cold-blooded killers, right? And they just went about their work as they always do, with just cold-blooded precision. Where Broncos are, I would say, far more emotional team. Emotional teams, and teams who got emotional individuals, they tend to ride the roller coaster a little bit and lead sometimes to inconsistencies. But that was watching the tail of the tape. It was the Broncos' emotion that got them home.
Yeah.
It was their emotion that they just kept turning up and finding a way to stay in the contest. The emotion that they just kept turning up in defence. They found a way to get down the other end of the field. Found a way to score. Renault exhausted, right hamstring gone. Found a way, bang, knock it over to win the game. It was always like it. I think their performance was just built on raw emotion.
Well, and I thought the Broncos' back five were unbelievable. I thought what they did out of their own end, particularly their wingers, they did such a good job out of their end. But my backfence player, for that reason of emotion, it was actually Katoni Staggs. I thought there was a lot of good players, but I think if Katoni Staggs wasn't out there, I don't think they win. I do not think they win. And it's not because of the try they set up, but I thought that try that he called for Renault to kick to him, it was a real turning point in their attitude.
Yep.
For what he did, and it was a testament to his attitude because everyone was kind of on the back foot waiting for Renault and Reece Walsh to do something, and he just went, fuck that, I'm going to give him an option and I'm going to chase this hard. Ends up scoring. But even some of his carries out of the backfield, Katoni just really wound up and just get a one-on-one with someone. Like his aggression and attitude, I thought, just turned the tide.
Awesome. What an awesome player. And Coop, Katoni's a Wellington boy, Wellington, New South Wales. It's really, I spent, me and your Uncle Joey, we spent a little bit of time in Wellington. They used to, was it NAIDOC week? that we went there one year for about 4 or 5 days with Chock Mundine and Wes Patton and some of those boys. And really, it's a big Indigenous community there. A lot of great sportsmen. It's an issue, but it's an area that has a lot of challenges as well. And he's a Wellington boy. Some great players coming out of that Wellington area. But he's a Wellington boy. And Gordon told me when he picked up by the Broncos, he played for Redcliffe, which at that point was their feeder club.
Yeah.
And an old bloke who'd been at Redcliffe basically, for something like 50 years, there's an old footy bloke said to Gordon once, he said, we've just got this kid arrived at our club from Wellington. He said, I've never seen anyone like him. Now, this is a bloke that's been at this proud, great club, Wellington, which Arthur Beetson had played at Redcliffe, but this kid that arrived at this Redcliffe club with great tradition, this old bloke seen them all and said, that kid, I've never seen anything like it. And as far as, I would say, physicality as an athlete, I love the thing in the I've seen Vision in the sheds when he first came as a young bloke into the Broncos, and they're all celebrating after a win, and he literally, in his boots, in the dressing room, does a backflip, lands, and then does a front flip and lands.
I haven't seen someone as individually athletic, I reckon. I remember Katoni Staggs, it might have been 2018, going back that far. I don't think he played first grade yet, but we were the Sunny Coast Falcons. He was playing for Redcliffe Dolphins, the Broncos feeder.
Yep.
At that time, and he put 3 tries on. He scored a hat trick in the second half against us, and me and him are the same age. But he was so unbelievably athletic. We were both about 18 at the time, and he made grown men look like kids out there. And then there was even that highlight that he had against the Dragons. I think it was 2020, and they gave him early ball, and Ewan Aitken was opposite him, and he gave him this fend. And Ewan Aitken, who's so strong, for those that have played against Ewan Aitken literally nearly flips on his head and does a backflip. He fends him so hard, ends up going 80 metres and scoring.
Well, Katoni is Indigenous, but he's also, I don't know, his mum is Tongan as well.
Yeah.
And it's like Tamana Tahu. Tamana was Indigenous, but also was Samoan. Yeah, fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's two incredible bloodlines. You know what I mean?
Genetically,
incredible. Now, look, my backfence player is going to go on the losing side because I just thought it was old school and I loved it. Liam Martin, the one where Ezra come over, give Nathan a bit of a hit, and they rough him over, and mate, he just come charging over and just jammed Ezra from side on. That's how it's supposed to be. Blokes like that protecting your halfback. That's what the game has always been built on. The big blokes protecting their playmakers.
I'm glad,
I thought it was great.
Shout out to Grant Atkins who officiated that game.
Terrific.
I thought he did a great job because it'd be very easy for some of the refs to go, because there was a bit of push and shove, not much in it, a little bit of slapping and the other, but to send someone off. Yeah. And I was going, don't send someone off in this game right now. Yeah. He had a good ability, actually, Grant Atkins, of just letting the game flow and allowing there to be fatigue because we don't have a great ending like that if he doesn't allow that game to go.
I want to give a rap to the referees. I'm telling you right now, right? Bill Harrigan was a once-in-a-lifetime. As a faux referee, his temperament and his ego to allow him to sort of even stand over some of the greats of the game and hold the game in his fist. But mate, the refereeing is I'm telling you, it's never been better. They don't miss much.
No,
right? They don't. And mate, it's one of Australian sports' favourite things, best sports, we're best at, and that's referee bashing.
Yeah.
I'm fucking telling you, mate, some of the decisions today that he made on the run were fucking outstanding. And I want to give the linesman a bit of a rap when the Casey McLean intercept. Casey McLean, that one where Reece Walsh threw the ball and he intercepted and went and he was away and scored. Now, that wins the game. It was, mate, Casey was one step offside.
Yeah, they picked that up.
Touchy picked that up. That is remarkable.
Yeah.
I tell you, the speed of the game now, you look at how fatigued the players get with the speed of the game. That one referee, mate, he's controlling everything out there, mate. I'm telling you. Seriously, those blokes do a good job.
That's something that doesn't get spoken enough about, I reckon, with everyone talking about the new rules since COVID and all the Like, you know, the referees cop that much flack, and they've copped flack for the entirety of the game's existence. But the rules have done nothing but get faster. And for a position where refs are going to cover more Ks and make these crucial decisions under pressure, but more importantly, or more dramatically, under fatigue, it only makes their job so much harder.
Yeah,
like, you know, I'm surprised, like, people go, I don't know why they go to
and more scrutiny.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know why they go to the video ref so much. You go, honestly, if I was out there doing it, like, I'd be losing my shit half the time.
I could do it.
Mate, it is like the speed of the game. There's so many variables in rugby league as well, and it's. I just want to give him a I thought that his performance today was fantastic, and I think I think this refereeing crisis we always talk, it is so dramatically overblown. I mean, really, those blokes and the ladies in the game as well who referee, they do a fucking outstanding job. A job that gets very, very few plaudits. Yeah. Mainly just almost always scorn and criticism.
Yeah. We've wrapped him enough. If you want to say something bad, let's say something bad about him as well.
No,
but I do want to.
Yeah, I will. I know Green Atkins. I know one thing I will say bad about that was your mother, Trish, who can befriend anybody all the time. After I did the commentary in the Vegas, that first went down, she befriends Green Atkins' wife, who I don't know at the moment. I didn't know at that time was his wife. You go, oh, this so-and-so's oh, okay, you're really nice to meet you. And I'm looking over the shoulder, and they've got all these fucking cocktails with Green Atkins' wife's friends and everything. And Trish goes, you pay. I go, fuck, not going to fuck pay. $330 US plus tip.
Did you tip?
5%.
Tight ass.
Fucking fire. It was basically $300,000 Australian.
One last run. I do want to tip my hat to the Penrith Panthers club.
Bloody oath.
Going for 5 in a row, which they were this year. And, you know, there was a part of me that didn't want to see him in the grand final just for different purposes, just to see Storm not play Penrith, because that's like Groundhog Day. But that club and that culture is bloody amazing. And I particularly blokes like Nathan Cleary, who a lot of teams, they try to get 1%. They try to get any edge they can 1% better every day by, you know, bringing in breathing coaches, mental coaches. But a bloke like Nathan Cleary, and he spoke about it in the media and whatnot, where even when he was talking about how he's been reading up on the samurai, shit like that. Like, he's a bloke that a lot of players go in and the resources the club applies to them, like recovery and mental coaches, they'll use them when they're in the club, but when they go home, they have a break away from football. Nathan's the kind of guy that as soon as he leaves the club, he goes home, he'll do reading on his own and try to learn from all these other avenues, try to adopt all these different analogies and lessons that he can bring into his own game. I got to tip my hat to him because they're an unbelievable playing squad.
Fantastic, mate. Brilliant. I thought they'd win the comp. As soon as I went into the 8, I just thought they'd win it. It's taken a very, very special effort from a special team to beat them. Yeah. But they are class through and through, honestly. And in the post-match press conference, the way that Ivan and Nathan, but Ivan did the majority of the talk, and the way he handled it, it's just a class act. You wouldn't have known with Ivan whether he won or lost, and he was he was so gracious. Yeah. And, the whole organisation is class. Do you know how I love my stuff and my reading? I wonder if Nathan would be interested in my knowledge on the samurai.
Probably not.
You really? Okay. Because do you know what happened to the samurai? So the samurai, people might find this interesting.
Yeah, right? They might.
You know, you've heard the Yakuza?
They're a Japanese gang?
Yeah, the Japanese mafia. Yeah. So it was Yakuza is a dice game you play, right? They play. And the worst three... when the dice roll, the worst 3 combination you can have is Yakuza. That's where they got Yakuza. It means bad, right? Yeah. So what happened was there's been evidence around this around civilization for a long time, human civilization. So the samurai were brought in as, you know, when the wars were going on, you know, during the Edo era with the shogun and whatnot. But what happened is when those wars ended, righto, and the samurai, suddenly they didn't need the samurai. They were like, oh, well, what are we going to do with our skills? What are we going to do? And a lot of them formed mafia gangs of type. And when a lot of them started the Yakuza. Yeah. I mean, because they had nothing else to do. And the same thing happened with when you hear about pirates. And the pirates, now people always think about pirates, that pirates were, from the Caribbean and everything. No, most pirates from England, from Bristol in England, because what happened was England had this amazing naval fleet. But after they finally beat the Spanish Armada, there was nothing for all these young Navy guys to do. There was for their naval fleets. So they all broke away and become pirateers. So Blackbeard, his real name was Edward Thatch. He was a stand-up guy from Bristol who was a naval officer who became a pirate because he didn't have a job anymore. So that, for me, is for you to give to Nathan my history of the samurai.
I'm pretty sure Nathan only likes lessons that he can actually use for his football.
That's your opinion.
It's not my opinion. I think it's true.
Okay.
What a waste of everyone's time.
Fuck off.